Hey guys, RafeJammy here. If you find it useful, if you like my content, then please do subscribe and smash the like button. Cheers. So if we go over to settings, then these are things more to do with the sort of graphics and visuals for the most part. Heads up display, things like that. So it's got time of day, set it to random. Default will mean it'll just sort of go through a sort of a bit of a cycle, or you can set it to a specific time. Say 2 a.m. Obviously, that's going to be quite dark. So if I go back, you can see it's a little bit darker. We've got a night sky. If we go to say 3 p.m., obviously it's going to be a lot brighter. Camera filter. So if you remember certain sort of biomes on previous Battle Royale maps, they looked a bit funny, and this is where you can get that effect. So comic, so as you can see, it just sort of gives it a bit more sharp edges. That is what they used for the Borderlands sections of the previous Battle Royale maps. Sepia, so kind of old school, like if you've got like a Wild West type one. Retro, so if you're going for something particularly sort of 80s looking, it kind of goes with this this sign on the Keyboard King shop. Low exposure, so as you can see here, it gives it a bit of a sort of darker effect. Film noir, so this is very much like, particularly if you're going to do like an old detective map or something and you want to add a bit of drama to it, then that's one to use. Unfortunately, you can't have these change throughout a map, so bear in mind that this is going to be for your whole game. Light brightness, so pretty obvious, so 0% obviously going to be really dark. If you're using horror maps, things like that, then having it dark is obviously going to be more effective. So yeah, 100% is your standard. Light color, so you can sort of affect, it's almost like a light filter across your whole map. So if you go yellow, you can see it just give a yellow tint to everything. Then you've got fog, so you can have some very thick fog. That's 100% fog, so obviously you can't see anything. Say about 40, so just affects your visibility a bit. It's not too obvious here though. And then you can change the color of your fog as well. You can see it just to add atmosphere, add effects to each of your maps. So this is your maximum health, so that'll be what's determined in the green bar down the bottom left. So you can put that up to however high. Same with the shields, you can have that to whatever setting you want. And then the starting amount is based on a percentage of that amount there. So 100% health would be 400 health to start with. Obviously, you can start them with 1% health, which would be 4 health in this case, and so on. So again, pretty straightforward settings there. Infinite ammo. So that's if you're not too bothered about people. You don't want them running out of ammo. Just put that on. Infinite resources, again, if you're going to be doing lots of building and collecting materials isn't part of your map, then just have that on. This is where you can set the maximum building resources, so that can be anything you want really. Harvest style, again, won't worry too much about this, but Battle Royale will give you the same number of materials as though you were harvesting in Battle Royale, and it's Save the World or Creative. So Creative, you'll get a lot more per sort of pickaxe hit. Or you can make that even higher by putting the multipliers on it. Aim assist, so this is to do with people's options. So if they've got aim assist on in their own personal settings, then this will allow that, or you can cancel that for them so they can't use aim assist. Allow building, so these are the different types. Obviously you can do all building potentially like you would in a Battle Royale game. Traps only, so where if you don't want them to build walls and ramps and things, but you do want them to be able to place certain traps or certain items, then you'll set it to that. So no traps would be, you can build walls and ramps and things but not place traps, or none would just be obviously no building at all. Allowed to edit, so this is to do with, not to do with the maps that you build before the game, but it's to do with things like building with wood and brick, building your ramps, your walls, etc. It's whether you can edit them as you would in Battle Royale, so the default would be being able to edit your own walls or your own teams, or you can set it so that you can even edit your opponent's team walls and things, which would be anyone here, and that's it really. So here you've got building can destroy environment, so that's say if you're building your own wall, it can break through stuff that's already on the map or not. Environment damage, so say if you walked up to a building that you've built for the game itself. Can you damage it or not with your pickaxe or guns? If you've got it set to off, then obviously you can't. I've got another video on this anyway. Structure damage. So this is based on sort of, can you destroy the builds that you've made as players or not? Weapon destruction. So if you want a game where the guns are more powerful in terms of damage they deal to buildings and structures, then you can put this up. You can put it all the way up to 500% or even instant. So if you shoot a wall, it'll automatically just destroy it. Again, sort of similar with pickaxe destruction, you can set to instant, default, or none, and whether the pickaxes do damage to each other. Down but not out, so that's, when you go drop to your knees in a battle royale game, if you're playing a team game and your teammates can still revive you, so that'll be default, on or off. When someone dies, what happens to their stuff? Do they drop it? Do they keep it? Or does it delete it from the game? Allow item drop, so this is when you're in your play inventory, can you drop items like you would in the game? Respawn time, so if you die and you've got respawns on, then how long does it take before you come back into the game? Spawn immunity time, so this is as soon as you respawn, you can't get shot immediately. You'll have a few seconds potentially where you have immunity. Fall damage, so this is if you're falling off buildings and things. Do you want that off or on? Gravity, obviously that's just normal as it would be in any game, or you can set it to high, so it's actually quite hard to jump, or you can go down to low, so you've got bigger jumps, kind of more like you're in space, like you're jumping around on the moon. Jump fatigue, so that's when your player's jumping around on the spot. If you jump too many times in a row, it will slow down, the jumps will get smaller, it'll get harder to jump. So that's what that means by jump fatigue on. Glider redeploy, so if you're jumping off a building, can you redeploy your glider? Player flight, there's very few games where you're going to want player flight on, so this is going to be off for most of your games. So this player flight is simply what we were doing before, going to move around the creative maps while we're editing. You can actually have that on within the games. Player names and location, that's to do with what appears, sort of what you can see above players' heads, potentially on the map. And then you've got other settings here which will be to do with your game mode. So again, if you kill someone with this, you could potentially set it so you eliminate another player, you get awarded 10 health, or 10 wood, stone, metal, gold. Self-damage on hit. So this is, if you pickaxe one of the walls of one of your buildings, you could have to set that to 1, then it's going to hurt you by 1. This is something you've probably seen in prop hunt games, so this is really important in those games, so that people don't just spam go around hitting everything to see if it is a player or if it's just a standard proper part of the game. Self-damage only on non-zero damage. So as it says down the bottom there, determines whether the player must inflict non-zero damage to something before taking self-damage. So that's, if they're hitting something, it has to be the equivalent of damaging that for it to hurt them as well. Again, these are all pretty much used in prop hunt games. So if you've got self-damage on, then this determines what sort of things you hit that will then cause self-damage. So it says players only, non-players, all. So basically, if it's all, then anything you hit, you're going to take damage at the same time. So self-damage weapon filters, obviously that determines which weapons you're using that will cause self-damage. So say if you hit things with a pickaxe, that will cause the self-damage, or melee weapons, ranged weapons, etc. Allow manual respawning, so when you're in a game, if you press options, you've got an option to manually respawn. I recommend having this as yes, just because certain things on your map might glitch, so people might get stuck, and that'll be the only way to get them out of it. Show wood resource count, stone, metal, gold, so that's simply what just appears on your heads-up display on the right-hand side, as it would in the game. See if you've got gold on as well, that will add an extra slot that doesn't normally appear in Battle Royale. A maximum equipment slot, so this is the number of weapons or items you can carry, so your typical inventory down the bottom right of your screen. So don't override will be your classic as it is. If you just want people just to be carrying one weapon or one item, then just put that to one slot, or you can have none at all.